Sweet Granny had 38 human remains inside her home. This is one of the many highlight stories that I have accumulated over the years in helping people with crisis prevention and helping families plan ahead. And I want to share some of the details. I think it's an interesting story, and I don't want something similar to happen to you. I received a call early in the morning on a Tuesday. It was around 8 o'clock in the morning. And I could tell on the other side of the phone that it was an elderly person, a female. And I could tell that she was worried. And my first thought was, she probably just lost someone or is about to lose someone. I'm used to getting phone calls like that over the years that people know me or they keep referring me from clinics, hospitals, when they need this type of assistance. So I assumed it was something like that. But no, she wanted me to go to her house and she has some questions about what to do with certain plans when it comes to planning for the future. So I didn't think much of it, but that was the initiation of this particular call. When I showed up to the house, she started telling me her story. She was the last one alive from her whole family. At this point, she had lost her sisters, her brothers. She only had one son, and unfortunately, the son had passed away. She was 88 years old. This is around 2019 when I met her, so it's been a few years. And she was telling me the story of how she lost all the family members and even friends. She practically didn't have anybody left at this point. So we were having that conversation, and I could tell she was breaking down. She felt a little lonely, and she didn't know what to do. She didn't even have anybody to take care of her own personal arrangements in case she wasn't there. So she was concerned. But what was about to come is really what made this story a highlight for me. For the purpose of the story, I'm going to change her name and we're going to call her Rosemary Ortiz. She was a very well educated person. She worked until she was 65, so she was being retired already for over 20 years easily. And you could tell that she was a reader. She had these bookshelves and constantly reading. She had some books on her table, so she was constantly reading. And then she pointed me at this little room on the side of the bookshelf, and I was curious of what that was, but she wanted to show me that. And I figured maybe she's trying to show me some pictures of the rest of the family members and maybe some stories. Elderly people tend to do that, and I always listen, and I'm always curious about learning about their stories, anything I can learn from them. And so this was the case, and she kind of showed me through a side door, and inside door she had another small room and a bookshelf. Inside of that little room, it was this bookshelf, but this other bookshelf didn't have any books. It had tons of urns, a lot of them from top to bottom, and it was pretty wide. And I didn't think much of it. The first thing that came to my mind is maybe she collects those things. You know, people have collections of different things, and sometimes they're weird things. And I figured maybe she collects those. But I noticed that all the urns, all these recipients had names, and some of them even pictures on them. So I was trying to figure out what they were, and and then she told me the story. So what happened is Rosemary, being such a kind, genuine person, well educated, very well known in the community, family members, friends, every time they lost a loved one, for some reason they always gave her those remains. And it got to the point where her parents, grandparents, well, grandparents first, then her parents and brothers, sisters, and unfortunately her son, they died in his 60s. Everybody passed away. And now she has 38 urns inside that house. And she doesn't know what to do with them. She, by this point, again, lost so many family members. She's 88 and she's thinking, I'm soon going to be 89. I don't know how long I'm going to be around and what's going to happen to all this. And it's not something that just occurred to her that morning. She's been thinking about it for a while and she doesn't know what to do. So she was looking around, and then she got a big surprise when she called a cemetery when she was trying to get an idea of what the cost would be to put all these cremains to rest. Practically, what happened is that when she called these cemeteries that are owned by a very large company all over the states, they're the biggest company that owns funeral homes and cemeteries. They were trying to charge her over $100,000. And the justification for that was, well, because on the space we can only put max two urns. And if you get the plots, maybe four. But it doesn't matter how she tried to get creative about possibly using those spaces, it was still very expensive. And it was over $100,000. And this has no service. It's just getting the space and the opening and closing fees they have and all these extra fees they always charge you. They were cremains. You're not talking about caskets and traditional burials. It was just urns. And that's why she was so concerned. She didn't have that kind of money. So what should I do? And that's the reason she called me, hoping that she'll find a solution and I will help her find a solution for her. So my answer to her was, there are many options, and you don't necessarily have to use a cemetery. What were your family into? Were they hikers? Were they sailors? Were they into water, maybe the ocean? And she didn't think much of it. As soon as I said that, yeah, we actually love the ocean, and we used to go and sail together and go fishing together in San Diego, California. And she was telling me all these stories. So I didn't have to say much. And then, so I started looking into that specific option for the disposition of all these remains. At this point, she was living in Corpus Christi, so we had the Gulf of Mexico right next door. And I figured we can probably do something here. So I started looking around and looking for possible good options for her. So this is what we ended up doing. We found somebody who volunteered instead of charging usually about $400. We just had to pay for gas, but we found somebody who could go 2 miles, nautical miles into the ocean, and she got all these biodegradable urns. So she was able to put the remains that she had in these urns. Just so you know, when they give you an urn, it's not the ashes inside of the urn, they're inside of a plastic bag, so you can easily move them into another one. So she was able to do that. They have some very nice ones. They have like a seashell type of shape, and you put them on the water, and eventually, a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes, they dissolved, and it's a very nice way to do it. So that's what she wanted to do. So she ended up spending around $1,000 in all these urns, but nothing compared to 100,000. So it was like 1% of what they were trying to charge her uh, to to do all the disposition. And that's what she did. And so she went out there and she had a ceremony and she was at peace knowing that now all her family members, her friends, everybody that trusted her with all these remains, that she was going to do the right thing, and she did. She put them all together on the ocean, and I believe that was a beautiful way to do it. And she avoided paying all these fees and this ton of money to all these companies that they don't care about you. They just care about making money, and they try to get as much as they can off of you. So I want to tell you what I tell everybody: don't wait. If we stick our head in the sand and just hope that one day somehow things are going to be taken care of on their own, they're not. And if we leave the responsibility to someone else, then we're leaving them all these problems, and it's totally unnecessary. So Rosemary is a happy person now, and I mean, she's still very healthy, and she was able to accomplish all this. So if you haven't put your affairs in order, go ahead and do it. Don't wait. Go with someone you trust. If you need help, maybe I can find you somebody, or I can help you myself if you are within range, or if I can help you remotely. But don't leave things for last minute. It's better that you do it ahead of time, and you can take advantage of all the benefits that come with planning ahead. By now, you know that all I care about is making sure that families are protected, that you're not vulnerable to all these vultures that when somebody passes away, start circling the body and see how much they can get out of you. My job is for you to be protected so that you don't have any legal, financial, or even family issues when you have everything in place. Do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, share it with other people, post a comment of a particular story you may have. And again, if you need help on the next slides, you'll be able to see a QR code. Just scan it and tell me what you need, and I'll be able to help you out. Go ahead and scan that code, and I'll be talking to you soon.